But seriously, this is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school?
What happens when the loudest voice in the room defending a political party is the guy tearing it apart? Bill Maher has never been easy to categorize. He's a liberal who owns guns, a Democrat who mocks Democrats, and a comedian who makes politicians more uncomfortable than most journalists ever do. But what happened on his show recently wasn't just a monologue. It was a reckoning. And the numbers behind what he said are so stark, so specific, that they stop being political opinion and start becoming something else entirely, a verdict. Because when a party's own voters can't say what they stand for, when its own members won't sign a 3-sentence pledge, and when its future is already walking away, the question stops being, what went wrong? The question becomes, is there still time to fix it?
Yes, my vote is in play. I'm not voting for anyone who thinks the wrong side won the Cold War or cheers for the Intifada like it's the World Cup. It's so ironic from the people who obsess about colonization. You know what's being colonized now? The Democratic Party. Last month, 2 Democratic congressmen released an open pledge they wanted their fellow Democratic members to sign. It said, "We are capitalist, not socialist. We want safety, not lawlessness. We are proud, not ashamed of America." These should not be hard words for a congressional Democrat to sign on to. You know how many did? 8. 8 out of 212. Guys, really, there's got to be an easier way to lose the swing states.
8, not 80, not 18. 8 signatures on a pledge that asked for nothing more than basic democratic values. And those 8 names came from a pool of 212. Let that math settle for a second. You don't need a pollster to tell you what that means. But the polls exist anyway, and they are brutal. 8 out of 212 were willing to put their name next to the words capitalism, safety, and pride in America. Those aren't radical ideas. Those are the floor. And the party couldn't even stand on the floor. The Gallup data makes the internal contradiction impossible to ignore. Democratic voters now view socialism more favorably than capitalism by a margin that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago. The party hasn't drifted, it has relocated.
And no, this is not where most Democratic politicians are right now, but it's also becoming a raging fire festival in the party that neither is anyone putting out. People are actually getting elected now who literally don't think we should have police or prisons or borders. And again, they're not lying about who they are. The media is. Ask Ms. Chevalier about the border. She says, yes, literally abolish the border. You know, if you call a woman a whore and everyone gasps and then the woman says, oh, no, he's right, I'm literally a prostitute.
Abolish the police, abolish the border, abolish prisons. These are not fringe whispers from anonymous online accounts. These are the stated positions of actual candidates running for actual offices in actual states that Democrats need to win. And the polling is unambiguous. At the absolute peak of the 2020 protest movement, when those ideas had maximum cultural momentum and maximum media oxygen, only 15% of the country was on board with defunding police. 7 in 10 Americans want the border closed. Nearly 7 in 10 support limiting asylum claims. The working class, the group this party was literally built to represent, rejects these positions at rates approaching 80%. Maher isn't attacking the left from the right. He's doing something that requires far more honesty. He's reading the scoreboard.
Leave her. This crowd literally wants to get rid of our form of government, the Senate, but also, and I quote, Replace the president and Supreme Court with an executive and judiciary chosen by and subordinate to Congress. Yeah, no biggie. Just taking the very essence of our government, which is three branches checking each other and canning 2.5 of them. Who could be this nuts? I'll tell you who. Morons who are still wearing COVID masks in 2026. This photo is from the DSA meeting in Denver 3 weeks ago.
Abolish the Senate. Replace the Supreme Court. Subordinate the presidency to Congress. 3 branches, reduced to half of one. And national polling shows that 90% of Americans support the 3 co-equal branches of government, 9 and 10. Only 9% want any single branch to hold more power than the others. That means a platform built around dismantling America's constitutional structure has a support base smaller than the margin of error in most polls. Maher's diagnosis is precise. When your ideas are rejected by more than 90% of the public, you haven't built a political movement, you've built a religion. And the congregation is very, very small.
Hey, I'm just going to say it. Since the far left, the far, far left, is overwhelmingly made up of affluent, ultra-woke white people, you raised your kids wrong. You told your precious brats that every brain fart was genius, and now those brain farts are becoming Democratic Party policy. Francesca Hong, yet another major Democratic candidate who's all in on abolishing the police and is running for governor of Wisconsin, says, I think that my perfect world would be a world without prisons, because we all see the humanity in one another, and then we know nobody's disposable.
Here is the part that never makes the cable news, Chirons. Because it's not about left versus right. It's about where these ideas are actually coming from. Not from the communities most affected by crime or poverty or a lack of health care or broken borders. The data is clear. The loudest voices pushing the most radical restructuring of American society are overwhelmingly coming from the most economically comfortable corners of it. Private schools, elite universities, families where consequences for bad ideas are largely theoretical. Francesca Hong, running for governor of Wisconsin, a state the other party won in 2024, says her ideal world is one without prisons. It's the kind of policy vision that sounds meaningful in a seminar room and catastrophic in a swing district. And the party's silence on that gap has been deafening.
Yeah, Carville said, I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. Now, Gavin Newsom disagrees. He says he's good with it because the party is a big tent. Well, you know what else you find in a tent? Clowns. It's so funny. So many liberals themselves every time Trump puts gold on something in the Oval Office. Oh, it's historic. And the separation of powers isn't? I would vote for Sarah Palin before this. She's a bimbo, but if you asked her to come up with something she likes about America, she could do it. You betcha.
James Carville said he's done with the party. That is not a small moment. Carville ran the war room that put Bill Clinton in the White House. He is not a soft critic. He is someone who spent decades believing in this institution, and now he's out. Gavin Newsom's response was to shrug and call it a big tent. But there is a version of a big tent where the sides collapse inward. NBC News puts Democratic favorability at just 30%. 52% of the country views the party negatively. It has shed 8 percentage points of support in 6 years. And nearly half of the party's own young voters, the people who are supposed to be the future, view their party unfavorably. Maher's Sarah Palin line is going to sound like hyperbole. It is not hyperbole. It is a man telling you exactly how far the floor.
Because even Cracker Barrel recently decided that they felt a little embarrassed that it was so popular with bumpkins who salivate at the sight of an old wagon wheel screwed to the wall. So they changed it to this, which got them no new customers while pissing off the old ones. It reminded me of when Chuck Schumer said in 2016 that for every blue-collar Democrat we lose in Western Pennsylvania, we're going to pick up 2 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philly, Ohio, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Yeah, how'd that work out? But at least Cracker Barrel had the sense to immediately say, "Oh, sorry," and put the sling blades back on the wall.
Cracker Barrel tried to modernize. They softened the brand, smoothed the edges, chased a new customer they imagined existed somewhere out there. They gained nothing. They almost lost everything. The only reason that story has a happy ending is because Cracker Barrel admitted the mistake fast and reversed course. Chuck Schumer made a similar bet in 2016. Trade the blue-collar base in Pennsylvania for college-educated Republicans in the suburbs. The math was supposed to work. It did not work. The blue-collar voters left. The suburban Republicans stayed Republican. And the party that had represented the working class since the New Deal found itself holding a hand with no cards and no table to play at.
Democrats don't seem to be doing that. They still seem to want to be that upscale store that impresses celebrities. Anybody remember Barney's? It was this store in New York that started in the 1920s, as a discount clothing joint on unfashionable, grimy 7th Avenue, a place where their customers, the working man, could get a decent suit at a very reasonable price. I remember going there in 1993 to get my wardrobe for a new show Comedy Central was launching called Politically Incorrect. Yeah, we had no budget, and this was a place you could buy 5 suits for $2.
Barney's started on 7th Avenue in 1923. Discount suits for working people who needed to look sharp without going broke. That was the brand. That was the covenant. And then, slowly, the store decided it wanted a different kind of customer. The customer who read Vogue. The customer who didn't need a discount. And the working people who had made Barney's what it was walked out and never came back. The new clientele never fully arrived. The store filed for bankruptcy twice. What survived was the name, not the legacy. The numbers for the Democratic Party follow an almost identical curve. In 1960, 56% of the Democratic coalition was working class. Today, that number is 30%. Since 1958, a majority of working-class voters have not identified as Democrats in a single election. Not once. The store changed. The customer didn't forgive it.
Problem is, there's kind of a stink on it because you know who is president right now, so the left half of the country fears he'll make the anniversary about him. Of course he will! I even bet that on Kalshi. The question is whether we all will help him do it. We shouldn't. This is about America. He isn't America. He's a temporary caretaker of America. America's employee. And the message should be that America isn't actually his, and that no one side gets to own being psyched about the country. So I'm not down with this attitude of, well, we're having a party, but if Trump's going, I'm not. Go to the party. It's a big celebration. You probably won't run into him.
This is the fracture that doesn't get discussed on panels. A party that lost an election is supposed to grieve, recalibrate, and then show up at the country's celebration anyway. Because the country is not the president. It is not the result. It is not the person you lost to. According to a 2026 YouGov poll, half of Republicans define patriotism as unconditional support for the country. Only 11% of Democrats say the same, a 5-to-1 gap. And Maher's point here is not partisan. It is almost parental. You don't skip the birthday party because someone you dislike got invited. You go. You represent something bigger than your mood. A serious political party understands that. The question hanging over the Democratic Party right now is whether it still does.
But seriously, this is a serious problem for Democrats. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed. Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual. Because you have no perspective. Is America perfect? No, of course not. No country is. Although don't get Tucker Carlson started on Russia. But the U.S. is leagues ahead of the rest of the world on most of the progressive issues that are important to young people.
Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. More than half say they are embarrassed by it. That is the Harvard Youth Poll. That is not a talking point. That is a generational data point with consequences that extend decades past the next election cycle. Because the people in that poll are not just future voters. They are future teachers, future editors, future city council members, future parents raising the next generation. If the party's relationship with the country it wants to govern is defined by embarrassment, that feeling does not stay in a survey. It spreads. It teaches. It becomes the default setting for an entire generation of civic life. That is what Maher is warning about. Not the next election. The next era.
The smartest thing Democrats did this year was finding their patriotism again. If you told me a year ago that if Kamala Harris would be the nominee and in her acceptance speech, she would use the word privilege, I would not have guessed that she used it the way she did.
The greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American.
Yeah, and Tim Walz also began his speech with a great line saying, "We're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country." And yet this message doesn't seem to be catching on with a lot of the younger people. None of them are standing up and screaming, "That's my country." Quite the reverse. Quite the reverse. The protests that started off as justice for Palestine have morphed into a broader kind of
3 months of flag waving after 10 years of treating patriotism like a liability. Voters are not fooled by the math of that. Kamala Harris said, "Privilege and pride of being an American," in her convention speech. Tim Walz opened by saying, "We love this country." And the response from the young wing of the party's base was somewhere between silence and contempt. Patriotism deployed at the convention and nowhere else is not a message. It is a costume. And the voters who needed to believe it, the ones who had watched the party cringe at the flag for a decade, they saw the costume for exactly what it was. The 2024 result was not an accident. It was an answer.
I wore it every day, and nobody thought it meant that I loved Nixon. Because 50 years ago, liberals didn't concede patriotism. Abbie Hoffman was the quintessential 60s radical, and when he had to appear before the House Un-American Activities Committee, he wore an American flag shirt, which some cops later ripped off his back. Because the message that most threatens authoritarians isn't America sucks, it's America is ours too. Every election year, Democrats seem to remember patriotism for about an hour at their convention when they're trying to win back swing voters. The whole message of Kamala's speech in 2024 was take back the flag. That's why she talked about America like a pageant contestant.
The greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American.
Hard to believe she lost, huh?
Abbie Hoffman showed up to the House Un-American Activities Committee in an American flag shirt. a committee built specifically to question his loyalty to this country, and his answer was not to reject the flag. His answer was to wear it. Because the left's most powerful argument has never been, America is broken. It has been, America is ours too. That distinction is not semantic, it is everything. The old radicals claimed the country in the middle of fighting it. They understood that surrendering the symbol was surrendering the argument. The modern version of that movement has walked away from the symbol and then wondered why it keeps losing the argument. You cannot take the flag back in a single convention speech. You have to carry it every day in between.
You can't take back the flag in an hour if the rest of the time you treat patriotism as something vaguely embarrassing. It shouldn't be, even though we are far from perfect. You know, in 1976, when I was wearing that t-shirt with my nut hugger shorts, America wasn't exactly crushing it then either. Inflation was around 6%. Mortgage rates were almost 9%. There was actually a thing called the misery index. The average person earned far less than they do today. They had a smaller house and watched a tiny TV that had 3 channels, mostly I Love Lucy reruns. The closest thing we had to euphoria was Three's Company. RAI was Cliff Notes.
In 1976, inflation was running near 6%. Mortgage rates were approaching 9%. There was a literal index created just to measure how miserable the economic moment was. The average American had a smaller home, a smaller paycheck, and 3 television channels, mostly reruns. And they still wore the flag. They still believed the country was worth something. Today, by nearly every objective measure, life in America is materially better than it was in 1976. Longer lifespans, more medicine, more mobility, more technology than an entire company had access to 50 years ago. And the modern American left is, by survey after survey, among the most pessimistic generations on record. Maher's point is not that problems don't exist. His point is that perspective does. And the party has lost it.
And I'm not going to get upset about things that haven't happened yet. And when I look around, America is, it's a place with a lot of problems. But also, compared to the rest of the world, it's doing better than most places. And, a lot of people are just living their best lives.
Are you this way, period, or did it take you a little while to get to this point after the election?
I was ready for Trump to win. I thought that she would win. I thought that America always basically moves forward and not backward, but I was wrong. I was certainly not surprised because I did not think she was a great candidate.
That is what it sounds like when a grown adult talks about their country honestly. It has problems. Every country has problems. But relative to what most people on Earth are navigating, the average American is living a life that most of the world's population would take without hesitation. The NBC News numbers put Democratic favorability at 30%. The party has dropped 8 percentage points in 6 years. Nearly half of its young voters view the party unfavorably. And the party's response has not been introspection. It has been doubling down on the exact positions that are accelerating the collapse. Bill Maher can see the exit. The polling can see it. The country is watching. The only people still moving in the wrong direction are the ones loudest about saving it. And they are dragging what remains of the party off the ledge with them. So the question is simple. Is there anyone left inside that party willing to turn